Good morning, tactical aficionados. I am Damien Darko, and you are watching Bandsay Tactical, where it's not illegal if you don't get caught. So, as many of you are surely already aware, we are in the midst of black powder summer here on Bandsay Tactical. But I thought that I would take a moment out of my busy schedule of loading explosive powder into rickety antiques to kind of come back to our less lethal launchers, our CO2 companions here. Checking out, I guess, what is a little bit of an older hat launcher at this point in time. It is year of our Lord 2025, and there's been a lot going on in the less lethal world. We've had the super powerful TR-68 come onto the scene. We've had the more compact Grimberg carry. We've had the a whole line of the new burner lines. But I thought I'd check out kind of an old mainstay here in the T4E TR-68, one of Umarex's kind of flagship less lethal launchers. This one a 68 caliber 5-shot revolving style, which I don't see enough of, by the way. We've kind of moved almost entirely onto semi-automatic like. I know there's a little bit of difference between actual pew-pews and less lethal launchers, but I kind of miss these pseudo wheel guns. I think there are certain things you can do with them. I don't think they've even reached their full potential. I really feel like we need to make similar Model Ds with longer cylinders that can fit all sorts of crazy shaped projectiles into those. You can fit shaped projectiles into this one, although often 68 caliber round ball will kind of get the job done. You can run rubber, you can run aluminum, you can run the Grimberg Jewels if you'd like. Those were fit in here. As well as 68 caliber pepper rounds. And this bad boy came with a couple of spare magazines and a cleaning device. These magazines are nice and cheap compared to some of the crap I see out there in the less lethal community. Let's get this out of here. Whoa. So as many of you know, Umarex is one of the more, we'll call them budget-friendly brands out there. But what a lot of people don't know is that they're also one of the more user-friendly brands when it comes to modification and just kind of generally doing whatever the hell you want with your launcher. So today I'm going to talk about how to remove the valve block that is back here, kind of hidden under all the plastic fantastic here. This is a little bit plasticky for a little over $100, as well as taking out the restrictor. Now for this, let's talk about the restrictor for a moment. That, of course, guess what, restricts the flow of some of your CO2 from your chamber here up into the valve area. Now this one, if we remove our puncture cap, and this is a Gen 1, I don't know if they did a Gen 2 of this particular launcher. They did for the, was it TR-50 or HDR-50 they called it. So this one, you probably can't see with the light in here, does not have a restrictor. If it did, it would be a small metallic disc that was inserted all the way about up here, which you'd be able to unscrew with a simple Phillips head screwdriver. Thankfully, that is not really going to be a problem for us today. So let's just get into how to disassemble this thing. And there's basically 2 steps we need. Sorry about the rain in the background, ladies and gentlemen. Well, mostly gentlemen. We're going to need an Allen wrench or hex wrench to undo these 2 right here on the top. And from there on, we have a whopping, oh my god, let me count them out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Jesus, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11. 11 screws ahead. Very tiny screws that are easy to lose holding this thing together. It's one of the elements I don't like about these, especially with this one being a little more plasticky than some of their other models. Let's get into the hex wrench here. I got a whole set of different accoutrements. Were to undo this, I had the right one set aside before. Let me see, was it this one? Could be. Nope. A wee bit too small. There we go. This is the simple part, because there's only 2 of these holding it together. Put those aside over here. And our rear sights are integrated into there. I feel like they may have upgraded this. I'm not 100% sure, maybe from older models. I don't know, it looks a little cleaner to me. Not 100% sure about that. So there you're starting to see the aluminum frame underneath. How much of that we end up seeing today is really going to depend on whether or not I can get the valve block out easily. Because if I can, I'm not going to have to do a bunch of other mechanical nonsense, which I hope I don't have to do. So now for taking out those 11 screws. Oh boy. Well, I'm not going to make you watch me do that. I'll just jump ahead because I've been told nobody wants to watch me screw in real time. Alright, tactical aficionados, we got all 12 of those screws out. Yeah, I was wrong. They weren't 11, they were 12 because of course there are. And I think this is a good time to point out before I proceed forward that depending on your model of Umarex, those screws might all be different sizes and they have to go exactly where they're intended to go. That was the case with the HDP 50 Compact. That was not the size. That was not the case today with this TR-68. Again, I feel like maybe it had been in the past and they updated the model to have all standardized sizes. Sorry about the rain you might be hearing in the background. I am in the middle of a storm over here. We got a tsunami. So now, with this piece taken off and with our 12 screws finally undone, we got to carefully kind of jerry-rig this unfortunately very plasticky case open. Again, one of the things I don't like as much about this launcher, one of the areas where I think they saved some money, was with the quality of the outer casing, because with the HDR-50, the 50 caliber revolver that their line makes, I felt it had a much higher quality. It felt like polymer, whereas this kind of feels like plastic. Oh, another side note. This front sight is kind of sandwiched in between these two, if you can see it. It's going to want to fall away and run off to God knows where, so keep an eye on that. With the last one of these I had, that sight never stayed on properly because these screws were so wonky, I don't know what was going on. I literally had to drill them out and replace them with hardware store screws, and it was just never the same. That one was a little screwed from the get-go. This was a much, much easier takedown to get those screws out of there. Still though, be careful and take your time when doing this. Just kind of get the cracks. Oh, there goes the front sight. There it is. I will put that back in later. I will probably paint this orange at some point, as per usual with my front sights, including my black powders. Check out Black Powder Summer if you're interested in some 19th century pew-pew power. And there we are. Here we have up front the spring that gives the barrel a slight actuation, because when you put this in here, it will push that barrel forward just a little bit, as you might be able to see. So that spring allows it to kind of get some motion there, so it can push forward, get out of the way of the cylinder when it has to, and then push back so that you don't have a huge cylinder gap that CO2 is leaking out of. And of course here, from this side you can see the lever that will hold your cylinder in place. We're simply going to remove that, and it's simple enough to get back in. This little spring here. Just kind of decompress it with whatever you got laying around. Oops. Pull it out. And remember, it is under slight spring pressure there. It might want to fly a little bit, not too much. And from there, pull up the barrel. Remember, this spring on the barrel also will want to decompress a little bit, so just keep your finger on that. From there, simple slide out of the barrel. I believe this is aluminum. They make aftermarket barrels for these, and I'm looking into those. Something we could talk about in a future episode. This, I'll just keep that spring with that. And here are the main guts of our launcher. And if I'm lucky today, I'm not going to have to open any of this and look at the internals, because we really don't want to. You could risk screwing up that smooth double action trigger there. We see that actuating. I've had issues where you open this up and the little pieces go everywhere, and man, is it a pain. So hopefully we won't have to do that right now. What we're looking for is right in here. Here's where the magic happens, the valve. So as I said, the restrictor, well, this one doesn't have a restrictor, but as you put this back on, if you had a 12 gram CO2 in there, you would hit that, bang, it would puncture, the gas would release, come up here into the valve area, in which case when you pull the trigger, a little bolt, which you can't quite see in there, would move out of position for just a moment, allowing the air to shoot forward and send one of our 68 caliber chonkers down this here barrel. Now there's a block inside this that's supposed to make it use less CO2 over time, and that's good, you know, when you're target shooting or whatnot, you'll get more bang for your buck from an individual CO2 canister, but that's not what we're doing, is we want to jack this thing up. This is sold as a self-defense tool, so you really need those first 5 shots to be as powerful as humanly possible. Got a pair of plumber's pliers, so you can see there's many different types. You can also probably use regular pliers if you had to. I prefer the plumbers. Come in here. You'll see that there are these 2 indents on either side. Pop it in there. Let's see how tight this is. Oh, not super tight. Get that to rotate simple enough. Lefty-loosey. Standard stuff. Some point you can even just kind of grab it. Now you'll notice on this cap there's a little O-ring. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, right there, a little black one. I might put some lube on there just because I can. Ah, there we are. And right inside there, that second little piece of metal that almost looks like it's free floating, that is our valve. And depending on how tight it is in there, we are going to have to do one of 2 things. Either A, and this is what I hope I can do, I can reach in there with some pliers and just pull it back out, or B, oh boy, I have to disassemble this thing, get the bolt out of the way, get a long hard object, giggity, and hit it sometimes even with a mallet from this side to push it back out. Let's see, are we going to have an easy time today, or are we going to choose the hard way? Ooh boy. Come on now. Another possibility some people do if they don't want to do the disassembly is to literally drill into it and then just kind of pop it out. That's possible as well. Oh man, it looks like I'm not going to be able to do this the easy way, so I hope to God if I take this stuff apart here that I'm not just gonna, God, spray this stuff everywhere. Let's find out. We're doing this the hard way. I'm gonna have to first undo all these screws. Alright, tactical aficionados, I removed another 8 screws this time. Whoops, there we go. From our main housing unit here. I can kind of see why it is that some people just get these damn things modded on eBay and pay, God, twice as much as you normally would. There's a whole business of people out there that just have the patience or lack of life enough to continuously take these things apart, buy them for about $100, take out the valve blocks, and then charge $200. And sometimes you end up paying it because this is a pain in the ass, and man, I do not want to mess up any of the internal springs in here. I just have to get to a unit right here, which is under spring tension. So before I undo this, there's a little system here, which I can't forget because it needs to interface with our barrel. And behind that is the bolt under spring tension, which is going to want to shoot out and cause a whole bunch of chaos. And behind that is what we actually need to get to, the valve block, which is a little bit dinged up now because I've been hitting it with everything I can in an attempt to get it the hell out. Ah. Almost. If I just had something just a little bit thinner. Damn it. Man, I don't want to do this. This is such a pain in the ass. Alright, here we go. Oh, you get it to here. I'm going to have to do some editing. Edit my cursing out. So there's another 8 screws removed here. Just gotta get in between the aluminum housing here very slowly. Oh man. I'm doing it at basically midnight and stone cold sober, so my hands are probably shaking. Alright, this one's coming apart easier than some I've had in the past. Are we gonna get lucky? Alright. Still under spring tension here. Man, I'm gonna take a picture of this in case I screw it up. Little side note, if you have to do this, get a nice close-up of all those internals and exactly where those springs go. It's these ones down here that will drive you absolutely insane. Okay. This one I'm going to pull out. I'm going to put it right here on the barrel. Has to go a certain way. A lot of people forget to put this back when they're reassembling these and they have to do the whole thing over again. This one is nice and well lubed, giggity, compared to some models I've been inside. Oh, alright, I'm gonna stop. So far, so good. There we go. Put a lot of pressure on that thing because this is probably the strongest spring of the entire unit here, right on the bolt face. So we didn't have a catastrophe where all these little pieces go awry. That does happen. There's been plenty of videos that will teach you how to put it back together, but I don't want to have to do that now. My God. Okay. There's our bolt. I'm just going to keep this whole assembly together, including, I think there's a washer on here as well. I'm going to leave that alone. Now we see the opposite side. Here's the plug that we need to remove. Now, oops, do I have something on me? Haha. Actually, I could probably even use this piece. Ooh, sometimes you have to hit it with a mallet. I'm not going to do that on this table with all this stuff here, though. Alright, this one's a little tighter than some valve blocks I've had to take out. Sometimes they really are almost basically soldered in there. So get yourself a tool you don't care about, like this one. Is that? Yep, that will do it. I'll put it right on the edge there. Hammer, mallet in this case. Boom, little pop, and bang, there it goes. Oops, and now we have an unblocked valve there. That's going to allow more air to pass through. There's a little O-ring on the inside there, which is very important. If it ever comes dislodged, it basically screws up the whole launcher. But it's fine. We went around it, didn't touch it. There is, oops, where'd it go? Oh, it's back on the floor. There's another O-ring that will be, see if I can show it to you here, that tiny one. That one you don't have to worry about. In fact, you should take it out. It will be attached somewhere on this valve block, I think usually on the corner here. If you don't take that out with the valve block, then if you gas this thing up and shoot it, this little thing is just going to end up going boop through the system, could cause damage, could get wrapped around your bolt. It's going to go and extract itself from the system, so just take that out by yourself. Get rid of, well, hold on to, don't get rid of, but put aside the valve block and that O-ring there. You don't need them. You're going to get more power without them. This is what makes Umarex kind of worth the time and the money. The money being relatively low, about $100, is your ability to upgrade these pieces yourself. So now that it's open, what the hell, this is the time to do it. Got some rem oil. You could use silicone. You can use whatever you want. It's already kind of, yeah, all over the place. I'll just give that a little. All right, now from here, might as well, while it's out, put that back. Righty-tighty. Make sure you don't cross-thread. I'm gonna go over a little. Cross-threading, the great destroyer of many a launcher. So we can get this back in. We're not going to have to fiddle with anything else on here. We pretty much have everything we need. Here is our bolt. Back on you go. This piece needs to be pushed down. I'm just going to cut to where I need to be. Whew, all right. This is where final countdown here, where things get tricky. Now mind this gap here, because on this side is where your barrel's going to go. Your cylinder's going to be between them. So this has to get into this notch right here, and then you have to put it under heavy spring compression. Boom. And pop this back in, and this is when you get the most chance, either taking it out or putting it in. Giggity, you're going to get the most chance of a catastrophic failure, which sends all these little pieces flying in various directions. If that happens tonight, I don't think I'm going to have the energy to pick it all up. Let's see. Oh. Oops. Oopsie. We're hitting a little piece here. Maybe if I lifted this up. Ooh. Hands have grease all over them. That's not good. Whew. Yeah. Or you can just buy one of these from eBay that says it has the plug out. But here's the thing. You never know if that's true. I've bought these things before that said, oh, 16 joules, whatever amount of joules they promise you. Oh, we took the plug out. But guess what? When you have to do this, a lot of people don't actually take the damn plug out. They just take the restrictor out and then say they've given you a modded launcher. I've seen it happen. I've opened up launchers that swear on a stack of Bibles that they're going to be, some higher joules power, and they don't even have the valve block removed. I'm like, how is this possible? You sit on a bed of lies. Okay. So another little trick. I'm going to have to angle it upwards, push it down, and then push this into this crevice. Going to take a little manual dexterity if I can pull it off. Whoops. Whoop. Whoa. Ha. Hoo 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 hoo. Ha 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 ha. Ah, there it is. All right, so far so good. Now before there's any catastrophic failure, we got that back in place. Before we forget, so people are always breathing heavy after this part's done, there hasn't been a screw up, do not forget this little guy right here. And he has to go in a certain way. The wider part of this needs to be facing out, because that is what is going to interact and mate up with this end of the barrel. Don't try to put it that way. Have the wide end facing out. Slip it right back in there. It will fit perfectly. And then seal this thing back up. Whew. And we are good to go. Well, I'm going to start screwing again. Alright, so we have our internal housing back together, nice and sturdy, with our 8 screws to hold that. Everything seems to be in order. We did not forget to put this piece back in to merge back up the barrel, and at this point, we need to do is put all of our secondary components, that being the things that are going to attach to this, but still be kind of inside the external housing. So our cylinder holder here, and our barrel primarily. And these are actually going to require, so this is an interesting thing, this actually requires the external shell in order to make them sit the way they're supposed to with that internal piece. So let's open this up, place this, fits in nice and snug. I'm going to start with this piece. So of course this long arm here is supposed to be actuated by the user, so you want it to be facing, so it'll be outside. The left side of the pew pew has the cutaway for that. So just slip it through, and we'll want the square side here facing up, and of course make sure that our spring is on there. Boom, here we go. This is a nice simple one. And you just put the spring right here on that rectangular housing. Nice and simple. This is actually, again, I feel like there's been slight reworks of this launcher since I handled the last one, since I took that apart. There has not been an official Gen 3 release for this, but there's been some mods for it, because that thing I thought was a mess compared to this one. This one's nice and smooth. So of course the barrel here, we're going to fit it into that component I told you about before, which is going to allow for a little bit of wiggle room. And don't forget the spring right here on this. This is going to be captured by a little lip built into the plastic. And again, this is very plasticky. I wish they had higher quality polymer. Big complaint from me, it's a little thing. It's a $100 launcher, so it is what it is. I guess I wish they offered maybe a deluxe version or something, I don't know. Anyway, so get that in there. Again, we might have to lift up just a little. This might come out. There we go. Slips in, allowing sort of a little motion. This, push down, and as you see, it is going to be captured by that. It now has a little bit of wiggle room that will allow for this. Let's see, I don't normally do this with it open, but why not? Let's just show it off. We'll take the plunger on that side. Whoops. Yep. Try and make sure it doesn't get too stuck up there. It's actually designed to work with the shell enclosed, so I'm going to have to wait, because the spring, once it's compressed, will bend out, and if there's not something holding it together, it gets out of position. Of course, the other side of the shell is going to hold that in there. So bang, there you go. But wait, there's more, as they say. Did we forget something? Well, almost. There's that pesky front sight. It has to go right here in this notch. I have to finagle around with that for a minute. Oh, how was that done? Is that it? There we go. And once we close the shell and screw everything in, that will be secure. All right, let's press it at least into place. Again, this one's fitting much better than the first one. And as you can see, if you hold it in place, we are now got that thing nice and lined up. Now I'm going to cut again. We're going to put in our 12 screws on the side, and then we'll get our top piece back in, and we should be good to go. All right, done screwing off camera. Got that front sight lined up nice. I've switched back to the hex head here. Don't forget these little guys. Yep, those two. It's the final piece that needs to go back on it. Also, actually, has a little lip here, so it does have not just the rear sight, but it helps to kind of hold the whole thing together. Give it a nice solid lock up. Despite the plasticky nature, I'm gonna stop saying it now. Rear side. Which again, I feel like they may have done some work on the rear sight in a second generation. I'm not 100% on that. Throw our cap back in. Got some rem oil on that now. Let's see. Our barrel has a little bit of wiggle in it, as it's supposed to. Doesn't get in the way of the cylinder. Rotates clockwise. Bada bing, bada boom. Well, there you have it, tactical aficionados. That video went on longer than I wanted it to, but thankfully, we didn't have a catastrophic displacement of all those internal components, and now this TR-68 should be hitting quite a bit harder than it would in its stock configuration, just from removing one little piece of metal that was probably only there because they wanted to sell this thing in the UK. And there's several other things you can do to get these more powerful, including putting a new barrel in there, which is not something I'm going to do for this right away, but is something I'm going to be doing for its little brother, the HDR50. I already have a tuning barrel on the way, so look forward to the video where I take that bad boy apart, put the new tuning barrel on, and hopefully I'm going to get one of these, a new barrel as well pretty soon. In the meantime, we're still rounding up Black Powder Summer, and in the next episode, well, if you've ever wondered how a 1860 Army from Colt would do if it had to square off against a modern day 9mm, well, I don't know why you're thinking that, but wonder no more, because we have some evidence. Yeah, I gotta say, it actually held its own considering the disadvantages it was at. Anyway, look forward to some more air guns as we move away from Black Powder Summer and into Umarex Autumn, where I'm going to be looking at all of the Umarex line that I have, and that hopefully Yusuf Odinson can help me maybe get a few more. And talking about how we can get these as cheaply and effectively up to power to try to compete with some of our maybe heavier hitters in the less lethal world. So once again, I've been Damien Darko, and you've been watching Band State Tactical, where it's not legal if you don't get caught. Zombies falter as we night, Band State Tactical.